everything that I know says I gotta go, tired of going solo. But I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is, this is who I am, this is where I finally take my stand. I didn't want to fall, but I don't have to crawl. I'm not the one with two star hands, giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this man. I've been born again.
All right, now that we've established that we've been born again.
That's right.
We just want to get that out of the way, that you know that we are born again. This program is based on what we consider biblical truth. Dave and I have both met Jesus Christ so many years ago, and we are not ashamed of the gospel of Christ because, as it says, it is the power of God unto salvation for the Jew first, but also to the Greek or the Jew or the Gentile.
Yeah, and in other places it says in the Gentile.
In the Gentile, right.
Grafted in.
We're grafted
We are
in.
to make out of two people one.
By the way, I learned an interesting lesson, and that is about grafting, and it deals with coffee.
Yeah.
Fresh black coffee.
Or
cream coffee, or however you like it.
Your shelves are getting empty.
Yeah, they're getting bare. But you know, there are two types of coffee. There's Arabica has become real popular.
Yeah.
The original, the other kind of coffee, oh my goodness, it slipped my mind right now. I can't think of. There are two types. There's the Arabica and non-Arabica. The other type of coffee is a very bitter. It's a more bitter. It's what Starbucks tends to use more of. But anyway, it grows at sea level, ground level.
Yeah.
And Arabica, though, which is the more popular one because it's less bitter.
As Folger says, mountain grown.
Mountain grown.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's growing at altitude. But the problem with the other one, with Arabica, you can't grow it down here because pests, ground pests, tend to eat the roots. They'll eat all of the roots. So what they've done is taken the other type of coffee, and they take and start growing it. Then they dig it up, and they take the stalks, they take them up to altitude, and then they take them and they cut them off, and then they graft the Arabica into it. So the pests, the mites, won't eat the roots, and the Arabica, though, grows as Arabica about halfway up. And it's being grafted into the stalks of the rest of the coffee, and I cannot think of what the other coffee is. I'm supposed to be the coffee expert, and I can't think of it right now. But it's a prime example of what grafting does. So you take, I've got the perfect example. Yeah. You take the corruptible, which is the Arabica, which would be us.
Can be corrupted. That would be a proper...
And you graft it into the incorruptible.
Yeah. Cannot be corrupted by the pests.
By the pests. And they grafted it in, and you get this beautiful, wonderful Arabica coffee. So anyway, but that's what happened. And it's an interesting story. But so we as believers have been grafted into the tree of Israel. And this is what gets me. There's this doctrine called replacement theology. Have you heard of replacement theology?
Boy, I've heard the term.
Replacement theology believes that God has used Christians to replace the Jews. So the Jews were the chosen people, but He's kind of tossed them aside now. They're gone. They're nothing. And now the Christians are the only ones that matter. We're the new Jew, and so we're all that matters. And I think it's pure heresy. Jews are just as important as they always were. God has an everlasting covenant with the Jews. He has grafted us into the Jews. Regardless of what the Jews have done, God has not forsaken them. He will never forsake them. He will not break that covenant with the Jews. And the only reason and the only way we as believers can receive the blessings of God is to have that covenant that he made with Israel. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he tossed his covenant, the original covenant away, mm-hmm. there's no new covenant.
Yeah. I agree. And Paul, who was of the Sanhedrin, right? He was a Pharisee and an apostle. Right. He said, what good is your circumcision if your heart's not right?
Right.
So a Jew by birth and heritage, in order to receive all these promises, they are in Christ.
Right. If you go into Romans 9, yeah. 9 on, he really deals with this
Very
whole
much.
thing that he basically says you cannot, just because we're grafted in, doesn't mean that you'd have to throw away the old stock, yeah. and if he burns that, we're
no,
going to...
because what he's doing is bringing to all mankind the covenant he had with Abraham.
Right.
Abraham. You know, and I mean, look, the Muslims in the Middle East, they all claim to be the offspring of Abraham. Okay, well, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Just come to knowledge of the saving power of Christ, right. and you got it all.
Right. And there are Muslims who have, and there will be more yeah. that come to Christ before it all gets yeah. summed up. And this brings me back to what we were discussing in the pre-show show.
Yeah.
Where this black preacher on some little show up in North Tulsa was talking about how he had done the exact opposite of the white supremacist mm-hmm. preachers.
Yeah.
There are some white supremacist teachers. They have this weird, theology. I can't remember.
So he's the Christian equivalent of Louis Farrakhan, essentially. Because it's all about black, right?
Yeah, it is. Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, all the good characters in the Bible were black. Somehow he's made from Adam through Jesus black.
Yeah.
They're all black.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, Cain and everybody evil in the Bible, Pharaoh, mm-hmm. and they're all white.
Yeah.
Okay. Moses was black, and which is kind of weird because black people try to trace their Egypt to black lineage, but you can't have that because then that would make you, so it doesn't even make sense on that level. But anyway, so they turned everybody good black, everybody evil white. So anyway, but this guy was preaching this stuff, and I'm thinking, this is weird, but this is what gets me about black Christians that put so much emphasis, and television even today, if you look, you almost cannot find, you can't go 2 segments without seeing commercials full of black people anymore.
Oh, yeah. God.
You've got 10% of the population black, but it's almost everything is black now. Black.
To the point of boasting about that.
Right.
They're better.
It's all black. So, but my thing is, well, wait a minute. What if I'm Hispanic? What if I'm Asian? Now we're starting to see, hallelujah, finally, we're starting to see some Asian commercials. Mm-hmm. We're starting to see more Asian actors mm-hmm. and Hispanic actors and actresses. My goodness, it's about time. I mean, they should be rioting. I mean, people should be demonstrating.
Hispanics are a larger segment of the American population than black.
Oh, they're 40% now.
Jeez.
Yeah, and we're diminishing the black population. In 2008, it was we were 18%. We're down to like 10% now. Mm-hmm. Asians have surpassed us, mm-hmm. and now with the influx from the borders mm-hmm. being open, mm-hmm. Hispanics are probably quickly approaching, if we have not already passed. Mm-hmm. Let's put it this: the illegal population mm-hmm. with the illegal. Yeah. I would say it's over 50% now.
Yeah.
So this is where we are right now in America, and it's quite a dilemma America is facing, trying to deal with all of this. And see, what I don't understand is that. Oh my goodness, David. Okay. I've had our mics muted. It'll be on.
There we go.
Excuse me.
Thank God for backup.
Yeah, I hope that's a good mic on that because you'll be able to mix. But anyway, our American demographics are really shifting, and I just don't know where we are, where we're headed in this whole turmoil that America is in right now.
Yeah.
And it's moving so quickly. Everything is moving so fast that it's hard to digest it all. And there's so much turmoil, so much chaos going on right now, and so much duplicity and deception going on in our nation that it's hard to digest it all.
Yeah, I'm with Morgan Freeman. He just flat out says, don't bring attention to my blackness. I won't bring attention to your ethnicity here. You know, we're all shades of beige. That's all it is.
I don't know how much beige is in me.
You know, I mean, I'm just saying, hey,
a little bit more mahogany. I'll take the mahogany.
The race baiters. I'm sorry. There are people who don't want to let go of these things.
Let me give you an example. I'll tell you what's funny. Okay, so I'm in the insurance business.
Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday, about 2 weeks ago, I get a call from somebody out of Dallas, Texas. Eddie, we've been referred to you by some friends of ours. You know, we need Medicare.
Okay.
So we're talking. We've never met anything. They don't know me from Adam. Yesterday we do a telephone conference, or actually a Zoom call. Right. And so I do a Zoom call with these people, man and his wife, you know. I mean, as you can quickly see if you're not blind, I'm black.
Yeah, black.
I'm black. And, but it never entered into these people's mind that I was black. All they knew was that they have a need.
Yes.
I have a solution for their need.
Yes. And you had a good German name.
I'm the professional. Well, no, but I mean, I'm the professional with what they need.
Yeah.
If I went into the conversation with the thought that, well, they're not going to want to buy this because I'm black. I've got 2 strikes against me. I'm going into with a negative attitude. I'm going to act like they don't want to deal with me. And you put off those vibes. I'm going to act insecure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's been this way my whole life. As many, if not most of you know, I was born in post-World War II Germany in a Nazi stronghold around Nuremberg, Germany, in the heart of Bavaria. Yeah. Okay. There weren't many of us around.
Yeah.
Okay. But I never knew because I was never conditioned to think that I was anything but just another German.
Yeah.
Even though, and maybe it helped that from the inside out, I never realized that I was different, you know, because I'm looking from here out. I'm not looking from the outside at that. Oh, wait a minute. Your hair, your everything is different from these other kids. And the kids around me never acted any different. In fact, you know, as I talk about in my book here, that I was actually the leader of the pack. I ran around with these little ghetto rats. Everybody was poor. We were all poor post-World War II Germans.
Oh, yeah.
In occupation. It was occupied by American troops.
Poor and despised by the world.
Exactly. That's a great line. Poor and despised. I'm going to get a T-shirt like that. Poor and despised.
Yep.
But we never knew, you know, all we knew was our environment, and we were happy.
Right. Well, your dad was active duty. He was serving, so, you know, he's at different places.
Well, wait. Before you start interjecting, because you're going to mess it all up. Okay. Because my dad was in America. He wasn't anywhere
That's
around.
what I'm saying, but I'm trying not to say that.
Right.
I'm saying your mother, your German, full-blooded German
full-blooded German, and
was all you had.
And I was all full-blooded German. I didn't even speak English.
Yeah.
So I was, in other words, that was my total environment. I was a German.
Yeah.
In fact, my mother would tell me I would see black soldiers come by, and I said, "Ooh, man, look at how black they are." You know, I mean, I would comment when I saw a black.
Oh, I had a kid. I'm sorry. Finish your story.
No, yeah. So I mean, because I'm a kid, I don't see black people.
Yeah.
All I see is Germans around me. And I'm the one, And my mother would say, "What are you talking about? You're black." And what? No, I'm not that black. You know what I mean? Because again, I'm looking from the inside out. I'm not. So it's all perspective. So I'm dealing with this. I never experienced racism because I never acted like it.
Yeah.
In fact, Dave Chappelle, to me, he's as foul as can be probably, but one of the greatest comedians of all time because he deals with reality. And when he had his show, he had this show about this Ku Klux Klan leader who was black, but he was blind. He was a blind Ku Klux Klan leader who never knew he was black. and he was adopted. He was adopted by this white Southern family, and they did an interview of his parents, and they said, "Yeah, we never had the heart to tell him. We never had the heart to tell." So this guy never knew he was black, and he was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, and he was the grand wizard. He was the grand wizard, and he was black. So it was. I mean, you talk about taking things to another level, but. So I was this little grand wizard, if you will, kind of, a little German, a little black Nazi, I guess. In
the stronghold of Aryans.
Yeah, a little black Aryan running around the hood, with all these little poor and what'd you call it? Poor and
despised by the world.
Poor and despised kids, and didn't know any better. But anyway, I think we made our point.
I got to say something. I'm pastoring a church.
This is Good Friday too, Lord.
I'm pastoring a church in Minneapolis. Actually, an associate pastor. It's pretty big. And we got this one black kid who's involved in our youth. He's young, very young, not even driving. And he became almost like adopted by the pastor in his family. The pastor's a Texan redneck, Steve Oates, and Stevie Jr. and Joey get a chance to go to Indiana to stay with the pastor's sister for a while. It's summertime break, and they had to take the bus. And they just, one thing from Minneapolis, they get on the bus, you got one layover in Chicago. Well, sure enough, they screwed up their layover, missed their bus to Indiana, their connection. And the pastor gets a collect call at the church. And Joey's on the phone. "Pastor, we missed our bus. We're here in Chicago, and we don't know what to do. And there's all these black people." And pastor says, "Joey, calm down. Is Stevie okay? Is he with you?" Yeah. Okay. Stevie's the pastor's son. And he said, "Joey, I need you. Is there a restroom? Do you see a restroom?" "Yeah, the phone here is right by the restroom." "Go in there, look in the mirror. Okay? You're black, Joey." Stevie is the one you got to protect here, Joey. And because Joey he didn't believe he was black. Now, my son-in-law, he had been called an Oreo. Right. White on the inside, black on the outside.
Right.
Well, there's those people like that.
Yeah. And but people don't understand. I guess I didn't realize this was going to be a sociological discussion on Good Friday.
Yes.
But no, that's what people don't understand. That race is a social construct, that people do not react to race unless they're conditioned to it. Yeah. And race has become a substitute for class. This is what I talk about again in my book. If you don't have this book, seriously, I don't recommend it because it's my book. I just recommend it because there's stuff in there you will not find anywhere else. But basically, what outline in there is that race is, there's no such thing as truly no such thing as racism. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's all about classism, and that because Africa by nature did not develop like the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. The people of Africa did not develop that way, and therefore they became a working class people. Mm-hmm. Same with South Americans to an extent, Mexicans and so forth, and therefore they became the workers. Mm-hmm. They became the worker bees, and no matter where you go on Earth, the non-workers treat the workers less than themselves. Yeah. I mean, it's just that way. I discussed how in Europe, you take Germany, England, Russia, no matter where, the aristocracy had their class, and they did not associate and very severely treated the worker class, and even the worker class treated those below even worse. It's like everybody had somebody beneath them that they treated poorly. Mm-hmm. And the difference between black people and the rest is that race or color became an identifier. So because black people started out as a servant class, they couldn't escape. See, if I was white, I could move to another town and as an imposter and pretend that I was from a different class, and I could blend right in and fool you and move into another class. But if I'm black and I move to another town, I'm still black. Yeah, I can't all of a sudden say I'm an aristocrat from this other town, because no, you're not. You're black, okay? Or it was the same with Mexicans or whoever. Mm-hmm. So this is just a sociological, economic thing, okay? Mm-hmm. And but anyway, we're off on all this stuff. But suffice it to say that the beauty of the cross, the beauty, I'm going to bring it back home to Easter, is that in Christ, as it says in Colossians 3, we're all what?
One.
We're all one.
Yeah.
There is no Jew. There is no Greek.
Yeah.
There is no Scythian, no black, no white, no barbarian, no Asian.
Right.
You know, and this is one of the things I always said, like when I was talking about these people talking about all the good people were black and all the bad people were white in the Bible, or if you're saying all the good people were white and the black people are bad. What about Asians? What about Hispanics? What about whatever, or Aboriginals? Where do they fit into the picture? Nobody. It's almost become a two race race, right? We're just going to forget about those other,
right?
You know, like the argument, God is blonde and blue eyed. No, he's not. He's got an afro and he's got brown hair. And he holds a fist up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, when you look at these posters, you got two posters, opposing posters, right? No. You know,
I hear you.
He's got slanted eyes.
Yeah.
He's got, you know, so no, none of the above.
And it bears repeating what I've told my kids. They ask, Dad, does the Bible permit mixed marriages? And I said, no, the Bible's against it. But now let me explain. Scripture says we all in Christ are a holy nation, a peculiar people. The only way you can violate God's command on marriage is marry outside of Christ. Doesn't matter which shade of beige you fall in love with. It matters whether they know Jesus. It matters whether they, have been born again. Are they in the family of God? That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Regardless if you're beige or dark beige.
Race baiter.
Mahogany beige or beige.
Yeah. Well, look, I am multiple tone freckled beige. How's that?
Yeah, your freckles are just too widely spread apart.
Yeah, well, they faded out.
Mine are a little more dense than yours.
Yeah, they faded out. You know.
Anyway, people, I think you guys get the picture. And that's the beauty of our audience, that you guys get it, okay? Mm-hmm. You guys get it. And there's a world now that doesn't get it. And it's funny because I believe we're really in a post-racial world. Mm-hmm. You have some people that are still clinging to it. The race baiters, I think they're dying. And what we're witnessing right now is a shift, Dave. Mm-hmm. It's shifting from a racialized world to a sexualized world. Yeah. You have people that are still trying to hold on to it a little bit, but the black community, you guys have lost it. You've been usurped. Your race jig is up. Mm. The homosexual, the transsexual, that community is taking the baton from you. And they're running with it now.
Exactly. And you know what? Even before the color thing, is the women who used to be the favorite cause celeb.
They've lost it.
They've lost it.
They've lost it.
The black folks have lost it. Hispanics never had it. You know, Asians never had it.
The ones I really feel bad are Native Americans, and they're the ones who probably have the greatest claim to
the American tribes. I know it, you know, but
disenfranchisement.
Yeah, and but yeah, and it's just nuts. What did Malone call it? Mass platform psychosis. I thought about that today as driving home from client's house. You know, that somehow because a big burly bulked up fella feels more feminine today, that we all have to agree with his notion that he's a woman today. Tomorrow he might not be, but today he is. And how dare we not agree with him?
Yeah, what I don't understand about that is how sane adults can accept that and allow these perverts, I will call it perverted individuals, mm-hmm. to enter the locker rooms with their children.
Yeah.
You've got young girls that have to be subject to some guy mm-hmm. who decides he's going to say he's a woman or a girl to go into the locker room with him.
And
with them.
Yeah.
Undress with them, shower with them, and all of these things. It's just not right.
And that no one, I know Target was one of the first to impose on this, that none of their employees or anybody could ever question if a biker gang of burly guys with beards all want to walk in the women's restroom at Target. Nobody was allowed to question that. And God help you if your 14-year-old daughter is in that bathroom. You know, this is our problem.
Yeah. And that shows a serious problem with your society. It's kind of funny that Vladimir Putin is seen as this enemy of the world. Yet Vladimir Putin is the one who's pointing out that something is rotten in the Western world.
Right.
Something is rotten in America when you have allowed your society to become overtaken with this reverse sexualized.
Absolutely. Yeah, and
mindset.
Our point is, it isn't that we accept the politics of Russia, but I would much rather live in the culture of Russian values that are not the Western decadent, sexualized perversion and corruption.
There are three cultures. Maybe there's more, but essentially Western Europe and North America mm-hmm. and South America too. I guess the Americas, Europe, Central Europe, and I guess that's about it right there.
Yeah.
Those two have become just crazy, because if you take Russia, China, and Africa, all the way down to South Africa, anything from South Africa north of South Africa, they're not going for it.
Right.
They're not accepting this.
Right.
I mean, one thing, Muslims have their issues, okay? Muslims have, but you're not going to see this type of culture happening in Africa or the Middle East.
Yeah, and we should expand this. The Slavic states, the Eastern European, Lithuania, the Baltics, in that, Finland, all that, they're enjoying the freedoms of Western society, but they're not depraved.
Well, Sweden is. Sweden, Denmark. I don't know about Finland, but I know Sweden has been there. And
Sweden has really gone off, but Finland and Sweden are very different. And then you go Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, the Baltic states.
Slovenia.
Yeah, it just... You go, like, for instance, in Riga, the capital of Latvia, their folk music festival, one of the greatest worldwide festivals, and it is the pop music of their culture, is their folk music. And I don't mean the John Denver folk music. I mean the cultural stuff that comes from the mountains, that the people have been singing for hundreds of years. They're not throwing out...
The old.
Yeah, they're old, where they come from, who they are. And in the West, shoot, every generation, every second generation has to throw off the old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, but it's crazy when you find culturally or socially that Russian values seem to be more in line with traditional family values of the West, of the United States founding in Europe, than the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and all of them. Okay. It's crazy. It's crazy that we're in that world right now.
Yeah, but you know something funny? I'm going to say something positive about the black community in the United States. Is probably the least accepting of the sexual perversions.
But that's changing. That's why there's an all-out push.
Right.
We saw the video. There's a video you can see right now with Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines was the national champion swimmer. Won numerous medals as a swimmer until it was taken away
by Lee Phillips. I won't say Leah.
Yeah.
It's Lee.
Lee Phillips. Lee, right.
Big, bulky guy.
Right.
Yeah, with five times the upper body strength.
Right. And so Riley has decided to speak out against this, and she's become very vocal now. She's Thomas.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Riley Gaines is decided to speak out, and she just recently spoke at San Francisco.
Yeah, college or state college, San Francisco.
And there's a university out there, and she was attacked, physically attacked by a man in drag.
Yeah.
In drag. It's a male, fully man, but wearing a dress, punched in the face. They attacked her. The police had to come rescue her, put her in basically a small office where she had to sit for over 3 hours until the crowd that was attacking her abated. And they at first wanted a ransom. They wanted to be paid to desist. Can you imagine that? Yeah. You pay us and we'll leave her alone. I mean, what in the world? What is the police doing? They should have just started hauling their butts off to jail. Just wanted to drag them out of there, beat them with sticks, whatever it took, throw them in paddy wagons, haul them off. No, these people sat there. No, we know our rights. We can protest. No, you can't. Not when you're threatening bodily harm to a person she's already been hit in the face.
You have a right to peaceful protest.
But nobody says a word. Nobody says a word. And then, these protesters say, well, we'll ensure her safety for a fee.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Well, are you serious?
Yeah.
So this is the state of America. Now, what's interesting too, who is at the front of this protest, these agitators? Who's at the front? Black kids.
Yeah.
Black kids. That's what they do. They want to throw a black face on Antifa. They want to throw a black face on all these protests because no one can say anything against the poor, oppressed black man, black woman.
Yeah.
And until black Americans stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't us.
Yeah.
We're tired of this. If the black community were to rise up tomorrow, they could end all of this. Mm-hmm. The black community, if they showed some backbone and guts and stood up and says, no, this isn't it. We're done with the Democrat Party. Mm-hmm. We're leaving the Democrat plantation, or as I like to call it, the Democrat kennel. We're getting set free, and we're going to vote Republican. We're voting every Democrat out. Mm-hmm. America would change like that. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat, the nation would change. But you've got these black preachers that are getting paid by the party, and these black people on TV, they're just paid. They're paid actors. They're paid participants in the demise of the country. And until that changes, or until white America stands up and says, no more, we're done with this, it's not going to change. Now, there is a hope. There is a hope. To me, it's the Latin, the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
If the Hispanic community, which now outnumbers the black community, the Asian community, and soon the white community, if the Hispanic community will rise up and start countering this with some sense, and try to bring some order, that could save America. Someone has to save America. Some social group, some ethnic group, someone has to stand up and say, we're not putting up with this. You've got to start in Florida. The Cuban part of the Hispanic community is already rising up. They realize we did not leave Cuba for this.
That's right.
We did not leave Cuba for this. If the Hispanic community that has fled Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and on and on and on, Venezuela, if that community, Colombia, if that community says we did not flee those nations for more of the same here, if they will come and say, this is not what we came here for, and changes things, it's over, Democrat Party. It's over for you socialists. But that is our hope. Yeah. Because white America, you're either too chicken, you're too weak, and you don't deserve to be in charge anymore.
Yeah, and I will say, we've been here. Eddie, you and I have been through this before, the 60s, the radical, the violence, the protests, and everything. And what delivered this nation from that was the Jesus Revolution. You know, we need revival. You know, Christ is the answer. By the way, your narrative about them putting black people at the front, the face of this very leftist hostile thing, is exactly what they did in the Tennessee legislature this week. I don't know if you heard about it. Last week we talked about the shooting at the Christian school there in Nashville. Yeah. Well, a bunch of gun activists, you know, it's made to order. Now, again, it was the depraved and, you know, perverted transgender, whatever, cross-dresser that shot these kids. And now they want to further their agenda by now taking away our Second Amendment rights and stuff. So this protest came in, disrupted. It was an insurrection. I'm going to use Nancy Pelosi's term. It was an insurrection of the legislature where they came in while in session and disrupted. And 2 black legislators grabbed bullhorns and overpowered the PA system and just shut everything down. Now, I'm proud of the Tennessee legislative leadership that called for the expulsion of the 2 most vocal up front. And they both happen to be black. Mm-hmm. And now the media is making this all about race.
Well, of course.
Yeah. But that's exactly what you're talking about. They put the black folk up front because nobody can criticize a black man.
Poor ignorant
because it's
Negroes.
racism if you criticize a black man's politics.
Poor Negroes. They don't know any better. I mean, they're downtrodden. They're oppressed. There's nothing oppressed about these people.
Yeah,
they're just paid stooges is what they are, and that's what people need to do. The Tennessee legislature did the right thing. Kick them out. You want some new ones? Vote new ones in, but they better learn and need to know how to respect the rules of the legislature.
Well, that's the thing, because these aren't just ignorant citizens who've never been to the Capitol. These are sitting members.
Exactly. Listen, if there are rules, the rules need to be followed.
Yeah.
If we don't follow the rules, they never will. Mm-hmm. This is why we cannot stop the fight. Any Republicans that think that giving up on fighting for Donald Trump or with Donald Trump, any Republicans that think that the fight for your children in their schools, in your local and state legislature, against these school boards, against you name it, if you think that fight is not worth it, you better think again. You'd better dig in. You better do whatever you need to do within the law. And there are plenty of laws out there on your side. You're just not using them.
Yeah. If Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene had brought bullhorns in at the joint session January 6th, you really think they'd still be in the legislature? They wouldn't have survived. And you know what? It would have been that crazy nut Liz Cheney who would have led the fight to immediately throw him out.
Right. Yeah. No, it's gotta stop. And we've got to rise up. And in fact, this goes with my little editorial. I've got
an editorial today.
My editorial, yeah. Dave convinced me I should read this. It's something I posted on Facebook. So I'm going to try to read this. I'm better at writing, although my spelling is usually atrocious because I move so fast and I don't proofread, but I proofread this one. So it should be. Of course, I'll find a few more mistakes here. So please bear with me. I will try to read this in a cogent manner. Yeah. So here we go. This is from today. Something I'm getting really tired of seeing is conservatives and Christians spend most, if not all of their time attacking conservatives and Christians. Now, this may seem like the pot calling the kettle black, but there's a distinction. Just check Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and other social media outlets, even, sadly, many pulpits or pulpits, depending on what part of the country you come from. And what do you find? Endless posts, videos, sermons of so-called conservatives going after Republicans, conservatives, and Christian leaders and theologians and spokespeople going after other Christians who happen to worship differently and sometimes more fervently than some. And I know you've all seen some of these people. So-called, some highly regarded theologians or preachers. Even the film series The Chosen, a new depiction of the Gospels, is being torn apart, not by non-believers, but by Christians They cannot find any actual heresy in the story, yet they find issue in the fact that the Catholic Church backs it and that it uses a Mormon studio to film some scenes. Maybe it would be better if they filmed it in a Hollywood studio that also films soft porn.
No.
Maybe they'd prefer
There
that.
you go,
I
yeah.
don't know. Meanwhile, you also have some of these same Christians and their political counterparts dissecting every speech and move made by Donald Trump and other certain Republicans and conservatives make. They're all eager to accept the left's news accounts on the immoral behavior of Trump and or any Republican that they don't like. They forget the same news outlets made up stories on John McCain when he was a candidate. Mm-hmm. At the same time, when Donald Trump was not running and was their darling, the same, he was their hero. I don't know if you remember that, Dave, that before he ran, remember Donald Trump was everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Oprah was hugging him and everybody loved Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He was the black man's hero. Remember, he used to be at all of the fights and everything, and not anymore. Yep. The same with George W. Bush, who now suddenly has been transformed into a hero of the left. But never can the current threat be found good enough for these people, and there's always someone better to represent their values. Yeah, it's like all of a sudden, whoever becomes the chosen person of the right, there's always something wrong with them.
Oh, of course.
And the first ones to jump on this are other Republicans or other conservatives to find something wrong with this person. They'll jump right on with the people on the left to say, yeah, he's this or she's this and she's that and she's that. You never see this behavior on the other side. Do you see Satanists or atheists arguing or fighting, posting YouTube videos, denouncing one another? Do you see Democrats tearing each other to shreds? Nope. Just Christians and Republicans. Have you asked yourself why? If not, you may want to start right now. Meanwhile, the nation and the entire world would be destroyed one piece at a time while they're waiting on you. It's no longer about the homosexual community. It's now about the transsexual. It's no longer about two consenting adults, but about children being fair game. It's not about abortion anymore. It's about allowing children to die after birth and euthanasia. The line has moved so far, we don't even remember where it's supposed to be.
Wow.
We see Christians and even decent non-Christians attacked, unable to give a speech in public because of violent disturbances. And so-called law enforcement does nothing to protect the basic right of the First Amendment. The most recent example we've discussed already is female swimmer Riley Gaines, who could not give a speech on the unfairness of women athletes competing against men. She was attacked, hit in the face by a man in a dress. Police intervened, but not to allow her to speak, but to shut her down. They escorted her out, and she had to stay in a small room for hours until it was safe to come out. But no one was charged, and no one speaks up for her. And those denied their right or against her, the attackers were never charged with anything or stopped. They're just emboldened.
Yep.
That's all that happens.
Yep.
Yet pastors and church leaders post videos, preach sermons about how some mega church is now preaching a pure message. Others preach how we need to raise more money to expand our youth ministry and this ministry and that ministry. I even heard preachers preach against the mean-spirited message of Fox News. It's not a joke. And I'm sure that preacher's not alone. No wonder the latest polling has less than 50% of the U.S. population believing in God and even less attending church. There's no longer any there. There's nothing in the message.
Yeah.
I think pastors need to be reminded of reread and study the prophets, especially Ezekiel. We're not immune to the same things spoken of and of the same judgments. Where are the watchmen? Where are the watchmen? Personally, I'm sick and tired of it. It's time to wake up, believers. Time to wake up.
Yeah. Quit fighting each other and rescue our society. If the salt has lost its savor, it's good for nothing but to be trodden under feet. We are to be the salt of the earth, Jesus said. Yeah, it's time we
There's
step
no
up.
salt.
Yeah, we've got to step it up.
Everybody's afraid of being controversial.
Oh, can't have that.
Yeah, we don't want people thinking badly of us.
Yeah.
We're not like those other Christians. We're not like those. But you fill in the blank. We're not like those. I mean, there's a lot of whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because it's like that. What's the old, when they came for the communists, when they came for the homosexual, when they came for the Jews, when they came for the, and when they came for me, there was no one left to speak for me.
Right.
That's basically where we are.
Yeah.
You know, they're picking us off one at a time, and they're
selectively
shutting a mouth here, and we stay quiet because, well, I'm not with them. I'm not with them. I'm not with them. And then eventually, don't worry, they're going to get to you. But by that time, there won't be anybody left. Why is nobody taking up for me? I'm right. Yeah, it's because anybody that would have taken up for you is already gone because you didn't stand up and speak up for them.
That is it. Yeah. Yep. No doubt. No doubt. I've got some national news.
Okay.
We got, I now can count about at least 10 candidates for president. People who either announced or they've got their exploratory committee going. Okay, which is kind of a soft announcement. Well, the latest is Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Yes.
And I'm looking at it now. He's a mixed bag. He's an old-fashioned civil libertarian. He is a 1970s Democrat, all about environmental issues. You know, a lot of that.
But to be fair, legitimate environmental issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's an anti-vaxxer too.
Very much. And listen, this is a guy, and evidently it's been very established. He lost much of his vocal abilities to a vaccine reaction.
Yeah, that's going to be a real handicap for him. The speaking, that warbly voice of his. I do have to say, for all fair disclosure, he is very close friends with my daughter.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so she thinks very highly of him.
Well, I brought it up. You didn't, so you don't have to worry about it.
No, I understand. I just want people to understand. So if I may defend him a little bit, it's because I know a little bit behind the scenes of this guy.
Yeah.
He's an un-Kennedy Kennedy.
Yeah.
When you hear the name Kennedy, it's usually, we're thinking of Ted Kennedy.
Right.
He's not Ted Kennedy. Let's just put, he's miles away, but anyway.
He is. And, what I'm hoping, this is my best hope, is that it'll awaken the sense of civil liberties that used to be the hallmark of the Democrat Party. The ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. ACLU is no longer for civil liberties.
No.
But
I call it the Anti-Christian Liberties Union.
Yeah. So, I think it's worth watching. Now you got Marion Williams, the far out, space cadet. And, by the way, one of my kids is he's off the Republican plantation.
Is he with Marion?
He was for Kanye last time.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And now he's connecting with Marion Williamson. And I'm sitting by him this morning, his daughter's, school concert. And, I didn't get a chance to tell him. I will tomorrow at our Easter egg hunt. Check out Bobby Kennedy because he's got a lot of principled positions. I'm not with him on everything.
And he's not Marion Williams.
But he's not married. Yeah. You know, look, I miss the refreshing voice of Tulsi Gabbard in that last round. But they ran her off the platform.
They just ran her. Yeah, they just ran her off.
I mean, the attacks on her.
I could see Tulsi joining with Trump, but that would be the two most hated people, public enemy number 1 and 2, on the same ticket.
Yeah. So that's what's going on in politics. You know. Oh, this is funny. There's a fellow Republican legislator who finally got thrown out. He's a school teacher. He'd been, you know, eventually we figured it out. He's for the Teachers Caucus. You know, that's about it. But he posted up on April Fools this press statement coming from Governor Stitt saying he's announcing his presidential exploratory committee. And then it goes on to say, because what I've done for Oklahoma, I'd like to do for every state and make every state a top 10 state. And he's mocking the bad math skills of Governor Stitt. And finally somebody says, because this is on Twitter, he says, you know it's April Fool's today, don't you? And so, you know, because at first I'm thinking, oh my God, is this real? And then I'm reading that, like, no, this was an April Fool's thing. Yeah. Because, I mean, Stitt, you and I were there when he had Glenn Youngkin. Mm-hmm. Well, Glenn is actually seriously considering governor of Virginia. So you got him, you know, you've got a number of people that have already announced, and then a bunch more hinting loudly. So it's already a pretty packed field on the Republican side.
Yeah, I hope it is. I hope it's just like it was last time, where you have that whole
17 podiums.
Yeah, and then Trump in the middle, and he starts picking them off from the ends. You know, like,
look at that face. Would you vote for that face?
Yeah, and who did he get? Ron Paul, remember? Not Ron. Rand. Remember, it's almost like just shot him right off the end of the stage. And then he went over here and got, what's his name from Ohio?
Oh, yeah, John,
Worthless person, you know, just got him right off of there. And, you know, but he just started like picking them off.
I like the way he said to Rand. He says, no, I haven't criticized your looks. However, there's a lot there to work on. God,
but the best one, the best little spat was between him and Marco.
Yeah,
the hands.
Yeah. That was Marco getting him.
Well, no, but they both. They were talking about the hands.
Right,
no, but
Marco started.
Didn't he go after him with the hands first? And then Marco went back after.
No, Marco did first.
Oh, okay.
He said, you know, and you know what they say about people, guys with small hands, you can't trust them, you know. And then Trump, the next time he had to speak, he says, listen, my hands are not little, and trust me, the rest of me isn't either. God, see, that tells me Marco got under him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
No, but I think, knowing Trump, Marco earned some respect too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, he's like that. He'll come back, but I think deep down, he gains some respect there.
I think so.
He respects people that can come back with something.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's all about, I don't care if they love me. By God, they're going to respect me.
Right. And if you're going to come at me hard. Come at me good with something really. Mm-hmm. And I bet you, I mean, Trump probably had to fight back laughing himself a little bit at it, you know, so.
I will say, though, I could not have done that. I don't condone what Trump did. It may be laughable, and if he's your guy, you're laughing at it, but it's not the kind of discourse that I think we want as our hallmark.
I think, I see it in a whole different way. Mm-hmm. I think Trump saw the whole thing kind of as entertainment. I really still do, because there wasn't a whole lot of, look, when each person has 2 minutes, you got 2 minutes and then a light goes on and a buzzer and then the next person and all this stuff. To me, it's worthless.
You know what?
It's not really.
You've just changed the whole way I look at things now. You're right. These presidential debates are not a serious, somber, gravitas discussion of the issues. This is entertainment.
Yeah.
This is size up the guys. How do they handle each other?
Exactly. And exactly. That's how are you going to be, how you deal with stress in a period of time. See, in fact, that's part of what lost it for that first debate where I think Trump made the biggest mistake. He had Christie prepare him for the debate. Why on earth would you have Chris Christie preparing you for a debate with Joe Biden?
Yeah.
That was the mistake right there. And he was totally unprepared. It was a totally wrong way to approach that debate, and it was downhill from there, I think.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, guys like Mike Huckabee, Rick Santorum and that, they were not going to play that game.
No.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. That's the problem. How did Ronald Reagan win that debate against Mondale?
There you go again.
Do you remember?
Oh yeah,
exactly.
The youth and inexperience. But he also many times went back to, well, there you go again.
Yep, there you go again.
It was a diss. It's a brush.
I'm not going to hold your
yeah.
youth and inexperience against you.
Right.
Exactly. So I'm not going to age. So it was, that's what everybody remembers.
You're right.
That's what everybody remembers. Bush.
Yeah.
Strategery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing you remember about Bush and Gore, really, you don't remember anything about those debates. You remember, what's his name? The Saturday Night Live versions of those debates.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because they get it. This is just entertainment.
It's entertainment.
And remember Lloyd Benson with Dan Quayle? Yeah, I knew John Kennedy. Senator, you're no John Kennedy. That's a diss. God, is that a diss?
Right.
Oh, man.
Those in Dan Quayle, potato.
Yeah. Yeah. That wasn't in a debate, but yeah. Yeah.
How do you spell to potato? I mean, these are things that people remember, and it's not, what do you think about Russia's arms buildup? I mean, how are you going to fight Iran's this and that?
Yeah.
Nobody remembers that. Nobody even cares. I mean.
But think about it. Remember when they asked Trump a question about the Trident philosophy, and he didn't know what Trident was? And Marco was gracious and covered for him and explained what it was. If it had been the other way around, Trump would have just harangued Marco.
I don't know. I don't know if he would have. I don't think he plays that way. I think he would have. I don't. I think he would have still played on what we would call silly. The silly. He prefers. It's almost like I'm going to play on this level here and this level here. Wherever you are, we're going to keep it here. Because the only person I ever saw him get really serious about, and apparently I don't know what Ted Cruz did to him.
Well, he threatened him.
But he really went after Ted Cruz with his father. You remember that, with his father and his wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ted Cruz, he went after seriously.
Ted was the only one who was a serious threat politically.
Right.
And he all in because it wasn't stopping Cruz. In fact, it's talking to Bridenstine. He said he gets a call from Trump the Saturday before the election, and Bridenstine's not done. I didn't I didn't support you in the primary. And he said, I know, you're the reason I lost Oklahoma. He says, you're the reason Ted Cruz won, and because of what Bridenstine did. Ted Cruz, he played ground game. That was the thing Trump didn't have in the primaries was ground game. He was fly in the big arenas and wow him in the media. But Trump was brilliant at controlling the narrative every day of the week. The media, he always had something for the media to talk about, and nobody could get their message out.
Yeah.
He is brilliant on media.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
The two people that I felt he really went after hard were Ted and then, of course, Jeb Bush. And I was the other thing that really surprised me was in South Carolina when he attacked W. Mm-hmm. I told my wife, I said, "Oh, he messed up now. He's done." When he attacked W about Iraq. Yeah. Oh no, you can't do that, and he ends up winning. You know.
Yeah, he did.
I was shocked at that point. I knew, oh, it's over now. If he can win South Carolina attacking George W. Bush the way he did, forget it.
He had his own pollsters. It was the same pollsters who told him, no, you could win Michigan, you could win Pennsylvania, you could win Wisconsin, even though all of the, conventional wisdom is there's no way you'll take those Great Lakes states. And what do you know? He won. And it's the same on his position. He knew that the support on the right for the Iraqi war was collapsing. Yeah. He knew that. And in fact, he knew the whole Bush thing was a house of cards and a facade. Remember the last speech I remember seeing Jeb give was he's talking and he pauses. He said, "Please clap."
Yeah.
God, that was
the
end.
Never.
And here's the other thing. Jeb stayed in way beyond the point he was plausible. You know when people get out of the race for one reason. They've run out of other people's money to spend on the race. They will stay in it till they're broke. Yeah. That's, Jeb didn't save a dime for down the road. And that's, I've worked with several presidential campaigns in the last 30-some years. I know how they do this thing. It's all about money.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna cover something real quick.
Yeah.
Have you noticed the Biden administration trying to, what they always do, lie vociferously, but now this latest thing they're coming out with where they're trying to blame the terrible, flawed withdrawal from from Afghanistan on Trump.
Yeah.
I cannot believe the gall of these people. And what's even worse is that there are millions of people in this country who will sit there and buy what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're trying, for those who aren't keeping up with this, they are trying to say that they left the equipment, the millions of dollars worth, if not billions of dollars worth of equipment that were left behind in Iraq, and everything that happened in Iraq was there as agreed to by the Trump administration. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable that they would try to say that Trump would have left it there. No, they would not have left it there. Trump would never have, the military would not have left that way. They would have systematically pulled the gear out, pulled the people, pulled their interpreters out, the people that have helped them. They would have gotten them all out of there, then finally said, okay, now it's yours. And under these conditions. In fact, there's a treaty that the Taliban signed a year earlier, which stipulated exactly how the withdrawal was supposed to, and what they were supposed to do and not do. And the Taliban broke every bit of it. And the Biden administration never held them to any of it.
Yeah.
And yet the Biden administration is trying to sit there and lie their way through this, hoping that the American people won't remember. And of course, the mainstream media won't bother to bring up what that treaty actually said and what was in place at the time. It's just sad. And I'm really sad that we have a dishonest media in our country that won't hold their feet to the fire.
Let me clarify something on that about the Taliban breaking every agreement. They didn't break any agreements until after January 20th when Trump left office.
Right.
Because he told me, he says, you kill one American soldier and all of this is gone.
Well, he told him, I know where your family and your children are. I mean, it was the old school New York mafia style.
Yeah.
I know where your children are.
Yeah.
And that's why the guy, he even said it. Trump minced no words. He told the guy, I will kill your family if you take one American life. Now, those of you that have a weak stomach or whatever, oh, that's so whatever, might not like that. But with these people, that's the only language they understand.
Yeah. And I just really believe, Trump had a system that was working. My God, we'd been there, 20 years?
Yeah, can you believe
it's time to get the heck out, Yeah. They blew it. By the way, on these White House press conferences, there might as well be 2 reporters in the room, Peter Doocy and James Rosen. The rest of them are all fluff.
And they don't ever
softball
call him James
questions.
Rosen. He's all the way in the back of the
room. Occasionally he gets one.
Yeah, occasionally.
But I mean, these are seasoned, reliable reporters. Right. And look, they're not pulling Jim Acosta's, like, the kind of antics he did.
Yeah, right. It's
a respectful, with decorum. They're asking a straightforward question. They're not getting answers. It's pathetic.
No, it is. But
this is all charade.
But for them to sit there and try to put forth just blatant lies, I mean, just blatant it's so funny. Here we are 2.5 years almost now into the Biden administration, and they're still sitting here trying to blame everything negative on Trump. Anything positive that happened prior to, they want to take credit for it. It's unbelievable. And, and the American people, and even take the stock market or take the unemployment numbers, et cetera, they're trying to take numbers of people coming back to work, not new jobs created. They're trying to take credit for people coming back to work from COVID, the COVID lockdowns and everything. They're using those as new jobs that they created. You haven't created anything. You basically just removed the lockdowns. You kept people locked out of work for years, and now you're letting them come back to work, and you're claiming those are new employment numbers, new jobs. And I mean, this stuff is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And that people buy this stuff, it just baffles my mind.
Yeah. Yep. I do have one state legislative report.
All right.
Legislature yesterday, in an attempt to, I don't know whether you call it grandstanding, whether you're trying to call it cleaning up the culture, voted to make a first offense, sex prostitution, a felony with a 3-year prison sentence for one offense.
Okay, so if you, David, go down and solicit a prostitute and you get caught, let's say it's an undercover cop.
Yeah.
And you solicit the prostitute, or she actually solicits you, and you okay. You could go to jail for 3 years. Is that what that?
No, the prostitute. The
prostitute goes to jail.
The one offering services for a fee.
Oh, the one.
Not the Johns.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The prostitute goes to jail for 3 years.
The prostitute gets 3 years.
And what happens to the John?
Well, they haven't, obviously that's illegal too, but it's not a felony. The prostitute who's collecting money for sex services, that's the felony.
Whose job, whose idea is this?
Gerald Weaver, senator, former law enforcement in Oklahoma.
And what is his grounds for this? What is his reason for this harsh coming in?
To make us a virtual nation if he has to lock us up to do it. I don't think this is going to work. I think this is a simpleton. I think it might be grandstanding. Not that I'm for, the sex industry.
No.
But there's so many ways around it, especially with the social media tools. Tinder, you ever hear of that? Ashley Madison, ever hear of that? You know what they're going to do?
Still around?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, well, there's probably thousands of them. And those are the ones that are above ground. The underground stuff. Because, look, there's going to be all kinds. There always have been swingers clubs.
Yeah.
Right? You just pay a membership. You know, it's a smorgasbord, you know, for a fee, for a membership. There's so many ways around this. And then I think, you know, some college student, you know, decides on spring break, hey, let's do something. And seeks the services of a prostitute who was so harmed legally. Now, I'm not talking spiritual. Legally, who was so harmed that someone needs to go to prison for 3 years for one offense?
Yeah, which brings up another thing now. Okay, so you're going to lock the girl, or I guess you got male prostitutes too.
Yeah.
Excuse me, ladies. So you lock the prostitute, male or female, up. What about what do you call the pimp? Okay, if there's a pimp involved, what happens to that person?
I don't know.
Is that in the law?
No, it's not. And this is the thing. It's just
It sounds like a chauvinistic law to me.
It's just like if you own a tavern or even a convenience store.
Right.
And somebody underage is able to buy liquor.
Right.
Do you know who goes to jail? Not the owner of the store, the clerk.
Really?
Yeah. The owner of the store
gets nothing.
Nothing.
No punishment at all.
Right.
Well, they should. Because then I had problems with the Oklahoma legislature. No, seriously, these laws are everybody they're half-butted.
Yeah, short-sighted.
Half-butt law. I won't use the term that some of my friends would use. But no, seriously.
We don't want to offend a donkey, do we?
Yeah, no, we don't want to offend the donkey. Yeah. No, I mean, if you're gonna do, you know, and we'll get there because we have some to say about abortion law too, right? So you're gonna arrest somebody's clerk, right? Mm-hmm. And you're gonna arrest a girl or male prostitute.
Yeah, street corner prostitute. But a guy has 10 of them out there, and he's collecting money, and he's going to lose this one for 3 years or whatever. Yeah. And then he'll throw another one out there. Well, if you're going to arrest the pimp, then you're going to have to arrest the owners of Ashley Madison.
Well, arrest Ashley Madison.
Because they're getting the money.
Well, but see, Ashley Madison, no, Ashley Madison's not as far as I understand, all Ashley Madison is a hookup website.
You pay a membership for it.
Yeah.
They're making bukus of money.
Yeah, for people, it's a club.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a club, but all the club is for two consenting adults to go on an escape.
In order to get what you want, you pay money to that club.
But you're not paying for sex. You're paying. No, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
You're missing it. All you're paying for is them to create a, what do you call it? A story or a fake, like I think, as I understand what Ashley Madison would do, let's say you and some lady across town, somebody you meet out here, and you guys want to get away. And you don't want your wife and she doesn't want her husband to know. You contact Ashley Madison and say, I want you to fix up a weekend in Las Vegas. So they write a letter that some Republican group. No, I'm not kidding.
I know where you're
Some
going. Republican
group is having a convention in Las Vegas on this date, and she's got a Avon. I don't know. I'm just pulling stuff out of that. And so, I've got to go to Las Vegas for this for a weekend. And then they they arrange everything and you go based on that, and then the two of you have your little fling, and it's a cover. But that's the only thing that but it's not, you're not paying for sex. That's the difference.
Right. But okay. The way that Ashley Madison and some of these works is not much different from eHarmony. Okay.
Okay, yeah. eHarmony, yeah. I mean, you might as well go after eHarmony, or Match.com or
Tinder. Yeah, Tinder's straightforward.
I don't know much about Tinder. I'm just saying that, but I guess.
But if their pricing structure is not a smorgasbord, one membership and you get access.
But you're not paying for sex. You're paying to arrange a getaway. You see what I'm saying?
No, well, some of them are that, but some of them are just to access 10 profiles. You pay a certain fee,
I can't believe people are watching us have this discussion about.
Well, I was just talking to my nephew who actually met his wife through a Christian dating app.
Yeah,
and
So what's the difference between eHarmony and Christian Date or one of these, Christian dating services? There's not a difference.
Yeah, but here's the point I'm getting at, is they aren't all just a one price smorgasbord, get access to them. Some of them could be the more you pay, the more profiles you get to see. Well, then it is a fee for a certain amount of interaction.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, see, I didn't know that's what. Well, I didn't know that's what Ashley Madison did. See, because as far as I understood, when they got busted, all I thought they did was it was two people that already knew each other, and you just contact them, and they're a cover story is all I understood.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about that.
Now, as far as Tinder whatever, I think that is like a sex hookup thing I've heard.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a different.
But the Ashley Madison thing, what devastated them was somebody hacked in and got their email list.
Right, yeah.
And a fellow blogger friend of mine said he got access to that and looked at it and saw Oklahoma legislators' email addresses. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, not funny if you're in Oklahoma.
I know. But see, now that's what devastates one of those services.
Oh, yeah. It'll kill you. It'll kill you. Yeah, let that be a cautionary tale.
Yeah, but, as somebody who's only been married to one woman and only been intimate with one woman, I'm not trying to justify any decadence here. I'm just saying, what works? What legislature? What are you trying to do? Do you really
see? If you were like me and had about 15 concubines, I'm trying
say that with a Barry White voice.
I keep trying to hold it down to 15 concubine. No. Dave and I had this conversation about the concubine, and what do you? Later they call them paramours. I guess. The French call them paramours.
Yeah.
Right? And then geishas is that China or Japan?
Yeah, that's Japan.
The geishas, it's the same thing. But back to the original thought. Come on. The state legislature, people, we've got more important things to do. If a prostitute's doing her job and it's against the law, just observe the law, put her in jail, make her pay her fine, let her, whatever the law is. What is the law right now?
Misdemeanor.
Okay. And then the second time?
Yeah. No, it's never been a felony.
So it's just multiple misdemeanors. But okay, so you can do, so no matter how many times you do, each time it's a misdemeanor?
Mm-hmm. Well, the sentence can get stricter.
Well, yeah, okay. So what I'm saying is, I mean, just do the law. But especially if you're not going to execute the law fairly, and across the board. So if you're gonna, it's not right. If you're gonna lock a girl up for up to 3 years and then let the guy, the John as they call him, off the hook, that's wrong. It's just as wrong as it is if you're gonna lock the guy up and let the girl off the hook. I mean, you can't do that.
Well, because you and I have argued on the whole issue of abortion.
Let's get to that.
Yeah, the notion that, we cannot prosecute women for going to get an abortion, only the doctor who performs it.
Right.
Oh, she paid the hitman to kill her kid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You put very well put. Exactly. She paid the hitman.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
And to kill not an adult, but to kill a baby.
Yeah. Now, you just reminded me of something. And in fairness to guys like Steve Kunzweiler, because this becomes a big, stack of things on his desk to handle. Steve has told me, he says the threat of felonies, of felony punishment, is often nothing more than a threat to arrange for some kind of a plea bargain. Sometimes he needs the threat that something worse could happen to you if we litigate this. Because, as one judge told me, with misdemeanors, you stack them deep and settle them cheap. Because to Steve, it's overwhelming his staff.
Well, yeah, sure.
And if they know that they'll never get anything serious for punishment, just a long list of misdemeanors.
Well, see, here's. Oh man, Dave, we could spend another hour on this discussion.
Yeah.
When we start getting to moral discussions, okay?
Yeah.
So, for example, if you went to Norman, if you went to Stillwater, probably down to TU on any given. Well, I would say on a Friday, Saturday night, but let's say pick a night, almost any night these days.
Yeah.
There's so many college students fornicating on a nightly basis.
Yes.
Cohabiting, switching partners.
Yeah.
There's probably, what do you call them? What do you call those when there's more than one? Group sex. There's all kinds of stuff. There's just all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, we just got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Money may not be changing hands, but it's happening.
Thank you.
And so you're going to go out here and you got some women that for whatever reason, their minds don't work like ours, but you're going to put them in jail because they want to get paid for their bodies that somebody else is throwing around here for free.
Yeah.
Multiple partners, multiple whatever. Listen, don't get me wrong. I am not condoning like you. I've been married 46 years, 30 something. But to throw somebody in jail for up to 3 years, I don't like prostitution. I don't think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But common sense ought to tell you, I mean, it has told you, it tells me, I don't want to mess with a prostitute.
Yeah.
It's fraught. Let me put fraught with danger.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about fraught with danger. I mean, are you kidding me? You'd be an idiot, but there are people out there that want to still mess with the danger. But to sit there and then on top of that, there's enough danger in prostitution. It's like telling somebody, don't take fentanyl.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you should know, don't mess with fentanyl. Yeah. The reason let me just finish my thought here. The reason you want to ban fentanyl or make fentanyl and things like that a crime and come down on it is because innocent people are being damaged by it. See? If somehow fentanyl gets on something and it accidentally touches you, it's the stuff you put on your skin and it goes through your skin and it can kill you. Children are dying from accidental contact with fentanyl. It's being put into fake candy. Mm-hmm. There are thousands of people dying from fentanyl. It needs extra protection, okay? Now, moral crimes shouldn't need that extra protection. It needs extra conviction. And by conviction, I mean spiritual conviction.
Yes.
Just like we've decided to legalize marijuana and medicinal marijuana, mm-hmm. maybe we need medicinal prostitution.
Yeah.
I think I did that for Day. Yeah. That was for Day. No, I'm just saying there are, we need to look at these things in truly the harm they do. Prostitution is one of these things. What do they call it? The world's oldest profession. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jesus, one of his descendants, was a prostitute. Okay.
Disciples.
Not disciple.
You said descendants.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ancestors or priests.
Oh, right. Rahab.
Well, not just Rahab. What's her name? Tamar.
Okay.
I was thinking Tamar. Yeah, Rahab's another. But anyway, listen, and please don't get us wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not promoting prostitution. Okay. I'm not trying to say prostitution is good and everybody should. No. Okay. What I'm saying is we have to look at degrees, and if there's a problem, there's a bigger problem. It's a moral problem.
Okay.
With like everything else in our country right now. If you got a rat problem, usually it's not because you don't have enough rat killer. It's because you've got too much decaying food around and you're not keeping a clean house. Okay, that's what the real problem is. If you kept your house clean and took care of your garbage properly and everything, the rats would go away and find some other place to thrive.
Yeah.
Or they'd starve to death, one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's the same with moral.
Okay, I've got to talk about something here. This is back 5 minutes ago. You said something about the college kids getting together and that. I remember back in the 80s, there were certain places you drove in Tulsa, and you would see prostitutes on the street corner. Almost none of prostitution interaction happens that way. It's all through texting and online and other things. But you talked about the group sex and things like that. If no money's changing hands, I think the money is indicative of those who are exploiting women, pimps, sex trafficking, human trafficking. And here's the thing. A couple years ago, Kunzweiler said something that I was just blown away. They weren't going to charge any prostitutes with anything because the mentality down at the courthouse with prosecutor's offices, they're all victims. They're held against their will. And I think that's overly simplistic.
Yeah, no, I can agree with
but Kunzweiler, I think, would rightly be more concerned about the women or man or kid being forced into sex industries against their will.
I agree totally.
I don't know how threatening a woman with more prison time on first offense is any kind of deterrent to some 16-year-old runaway who now is, forced into prostitution by some pimp.
Wow, that's powerful, Dave. And listen, everybody, this is a serious issue. I mean, there's certain movies about this type of thing, but this is real. This is a real problem, particularly now with our border crisis, cartels bringing these young girls in and just trafficking in sex by the hundreds.
Yeah, one of the things that deters somebody from going to the cops to get help when, for whatever, they're a victim of something, but they know they've been involved in something that's illegal. That's a lot of reason why you see gang shootouts. You see, paybacks, you see the drive-by shootings, is because they're going outside of law enforcement to settle a score and seek some kind of vigilante justice for harm done to them. You're creating the same scenario now. When you're threatening a prostitute, you come forward and you're going to get hit with a felony now. See, this is the hard thing. Yeah. I think the legislature is kind of saying the opposite of what Kunzweiler was saying 2 years ago about how are we going to handle those who are truly being enslaved in the sex industry. I agree.
Well, and then you've got the other situation. Who knows? It might be a situation where their family back in Mexico or wherever is being held hostage to it. We're going to kill your family, or we're going to do this or this. I mean, there's so many things. So it's just a messed up world. It's a messed up world that we have got to. I don't know. Just we have to pray.
Yeah, I'm just left with more questions than answers by this action of the Senate.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a good solution, and I hope you can speak to more legislators and get some answers, and hopefully somebody will come up with a better solution than that. Because again, what bothers me is, as it was on the abortion thing we discussed, that to me, a better solution is to give 3 years to the John than it is to the prostitute. You would cut it off more quickly by arresting the John than you are by arresting the prostitute, because if you cut off the customer, then you're gonna kill the supplier. Mm-hmm. But if you try to cut off the supplier, there's a whole lot more suppliers out there than customers, and we're going about this backwards. I think that's my opinion. Yeah,
I hate to end our podcast on such a discouraging.
Well, we don't have to. We'll just keep it going. No.
Anything else on your list?
No, just in general that this is Easter weekend. Mm-hmm. Today is Good Friday. Let us remember the price that Jesus, our Messiah, which means Savior. Remember what he saved. Remember what that means. We hear the word Christ, we hear the word Messiah, and it's gotten to the point it doesn't mean anything any longer. Mm-hmm. But what it stands for is he's the Savior, and what he saved mankind, but only those who wish to be saved. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when I first got saved, God revealed to me the difference. I became prayer room counselor.
Yeah, I've done that too. Yeah.
And I was a young, dumb Christian, but I really asked God to show me what that means, because how are you going to counsel somebody on what it means to be saved if you don't really understand it yourself? And God showed me that, because kids would ask me, well, what if God is God, why doesn't he just make everybody accept him? Mm-hmm. He could just make everybody believe. And God showed me, and he used it. What's interesting, he used my girlfriend, my wife, as an example. Yeah. In that, do you want your wife or your girlfriend to love you because you're the only guy on earth and she has no choice? Mm-hmm. Or because she chose you among a whole bunch of other guys that she could have chosen? Yeah. What makes you feel better? I mean, what is better, to be chosen among other choices?
There you go.
But you're the one, you're the man.
Yeah.
You're the God. Yeah. Or take it or leave it. Well, God has given you that same choice today. Mm-hmm. You can choose him or you can reject him. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other opportunities. When I first started thinking about Jesus and started praying, I said, God, there's a whole lot of options. There's Buddha, there's Baha'i, Baha'u'llah.
Oh gosh. And then all those 70s cults, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Muhammad.
Yeah.
Allah, all, you name it. Your rancher. I mean, yeah, we could go through her. But anyway, I said, God, show me who you are. And it took a couple of years, but through a series of happenings, he revealed himself to me. Yeah. And Jesus was it. So anyway, I would always tell these kids when they would ask me, well, why didn't God just make us believe in him if he is real and wants us? It's because he wants you to choose him above all else. Yeah. And that's the choice he gave us. And because of our sin nature, we're born with a sin nature. He not only allowed you to choose him and us to choose him, but he made a choice too. He chose to come to earth, take the form of a man, and he chose to die. He chose to suffer the death on a cross for you and for me and everyone else who would choose him. A pain, a suffering that none of us could imagine. And not only that pain, but the pain of taking on the sins, our sins. And we've all sinned. And you know what your sins are. I know what mine are. David knows what his are.
I know what Eddie's are.
And
you know what? My wife reminds me of what mine are.
He took all those upon himself, and he suffered that death.
Yes, he did.
And he actually went to hell and suffered even that for us so that we don't have to. But you can accept it or you can reject it. He's not going to make you. He's not going to make you. Do you want your wife, your girlfriend, to love you because she had no other choice, because you made her, or because she chose to? That's how it is with God.
Yeah, it is.
You can choose to love him. You can choose to accept him. You can choose to receive his love in return. That's what he offers you today. That's what he offered us. That's what we accepted. With me this year, Dave, June 8th, 50 years.
Wow.
June 8th, 10 p.m., 50 years ago, I walked that and I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And my life's never been the same. So anyway, that's my Good Friday message. And I pray that you guys would think about it this Good Friday. Think about his sacrifice for you. And this Sunday, remember, he rose. He didn't stay in hell. He didn't stay on that cross. He didn't stay in hell. He rose so that we could rise to new life.
Yeah.
God bless you, everyone.
I got a last shout out before we go.
Okay.
I got 2 nephews.
Okay.
Well, I've got more than that, but 2 of them I want to congratulate. Gage and his sweetheart Kendra met through a Christian dating app, and this August we're celebrating their wedding. But the day before, another nephew of mine, Jake, and his sweetheart Catherine are getting married. So come August, I got a weekend. I got to go up and be at 2 weddings of 2 devout Christian couples doing it right. And you can do things right. You know what? You can say, today I'll start doing things right.
All right. Happy Easter, everybody. God bless you, and we'll talk to you next week.
Well, it's another day, and I'm thinking about the things I want to say, but my thoughts are like clouds drifting far away. Well, I admit I doubt sometimes that I'm on your mind, just another face, looking up from the crowd, searching for a way to talk to you now. Sometimes I feel small in the scope of it all, and then I'm reminded again here for me. I can't tell you how much that means. It's so hard to conceive that the very same God that dreamt of the ocean, that set the stars into place, well, he knows me by name. The very same God that put the world into motion is listening today. He hears what I say when I pray, and I believe that you're with me, Lord, when I'm on my knees. Your timeless mercy rescues me. The very same God that dreamt of the ocean, that set the stars into place, well, he knows me by name. The very same God that put the world into motion is listening today. He hears what I say. The very same God that dreamt of the ocean, that set the stars into place, well, he knows me by name. The very same God that put the world into motion is listening today. He hears what I say when I pray.